welcome you all here in our Dhamma Center. And welcome to all two Rinpoche and Lama Shambo, and maybe some Sangha. Asked me to come here and then talk something, especially tonight to talk something. So, according to that, I'm just happy here. Whatever I could do, just share anything if that could be beneficial or helpful to anybody. Who are here and who are there. Some are there, some are there. So this topic is saying excellent loving kindness sounds very good, and generosity also sounds good, versus attachment doesn't sound good. So, however, if you are interested to just merely know, based on psychological, what that kind of like makes the difference between the excellent loving kindness and generosity versus attachment, or if there is any kind of like differences or how it works. Studying if you want to know this one thing. But otherwise, if you are somehow confused, that being kind of like the excellent, having loving kindness and being generous, but what about the kind of attachment? So from that point of view, it is something more important to learn about it. That what it makes kind of difference in one's thinking and understanding, and also in one's kind of like part of practice. How to involve. Then if you are thinking that you want to know, just which is more of part of that in practice in our daily life, which is kind of flowing more towards the Dhamma or the spirituality, or that could be kind of more accumulating merit or wisdom, or not, according to that kind of like the topic. So then it has to be according to the what is based on the Buddha's kind of teaching. So there can be all sorts of ways that we can like study and understand, and then how can engage into practice, or how to apply in one daily life, with this excellent loving kindness and generosity, but kind of attachment. So So anyhow, this all actually talking about, or just from where this, like a sense of the excellent loving kindness and the generosity or attachment, from where it is kind of arising, or what is kind of like its causes and conditions, or its kind of like roots. So in a way, kind of like if one starts thinking. So so somehow this all is actually kind of like arising from our mind. So excellent loving kindness. Loving kindness is also a mind. It's a kind of the thought, and it also can involve some action. And at the same time, the being kind of generous, or the generosity is also a thought and also kind of like action. And then the attachment, attachment is also a thought arising from our mind, and then also have is kind of like action. So these three things and so forth, the rest of all other kind of like thoughts. Anyway, in Tibetan Buddhism, or in generally in Buddhism, Sutrayana, Vajrayana, that it is the just known as kind of like a namto, a kind of like a thought. But then in the thought, in generally, that there can be just positive, virtuous thought, or negative, non-virtuous thought, and then neutral thoughts. All the thoughts, whatsoever we may give rise to in a day, those all thoughts can be categorized into these three. So all these anyway arising from our mind. So whether as a general kind of knowledge, or as a dharma practice, as a kind of to follow into specific, like a where one wants to engage into, like a dharma practice that one wants to just accumulate more merit and engage in a more virtuous aspect, and that way one wants to kind of like avoid or let it go about the negative thoughts. Then it is just kind of falls into this category, and according to that, one have to just understand, and then try to apply into practice in one's kind of daily life. Even one have this understanding, but if one doesn't apply into practice, then there is no much benefit and no much like a purpose. Because in the field of the spirituality, or kind of like Buddha's teaching, everything is about mind. Even that whatsoever we see, in our daily life, whatever we hear, all the sounds, whatever we smell, any smells, whatever we kind of like taste, and whatever we feel texture, and whatever we imagine, everything is actually not other than the one's mind's projection, or one's mind's kind of creation. So this is also, in a way, kind of from the Buddhist point of view, it is very profound and very important. And if one really feel and understand, in this way, then there is also a way that one can correct oneself, instead of falling into this negative side, or including all those having this emotion and depression or stress and sadness and loneliness feelings, and at the same time just kind of like a joyful thought or happiness. So that all the negative side of that can be just one can correct to fall into positive side. If one knows it is the one's own mind rather than thinking or understanding or looking outside, or because of that person or because of that object or because of that condition, then I'm feeling upset or just unhappiness or just angry. So if one just only thinking externally, then sometimes it is more hard to correct. If one know everything is one's mind, it is whatever one just kind of appears. For example, like anything where one just see it is kind of beautiful or it is kind of ugly. It is completely depend upon one's mind. That is a kind of one of the Buddha's kind of very profound teaching. That is why there are all these philosophical explanations according to the Hinayana level and also according to the Chittamatra mind-only schools philosophy. And then also it comes to the just Madhyamik, the middle part way of explanation. And not only that, then it goes kind of like in a way higher level about the outer outer Vajrayanas kind of explanation, and then in inner tantric explanation, and moreover even according to the like Ati Yoga, the highest that which you hear as a doctrine or the mantras. So that because of that, in the Nyingma tradition, that where you maybe you might have heard, maybe you might be studying somehow what is called the 9 deagles. 9 deagles or 9 levels of kind of study. So this is the in general how kind of that if more is mind projection and appearing to because of one's mind, then these can be explained in all these levels. So now the excellent loving kindness and generosity, if it is involved, the main point, if it is involved with attachment, then that cannot become excellent loving kindness, and also it cannot become excellent generosity. As long as there is the attachment, then it is kind of like a problem, and besides that the attachment, because of the attachment, creating all sorts of suffering. So as I said, as kind of the attachment is the mind, kind of mental activity. Wherever one have kind of attachment in like forms, all sorts of forms, and that's how much it covers. Whatever your eyes could see, all those forms, once you have attachment, it is problem. and just all sounds, all sounds, whatever you have attachment, it is going to be a problem. And similarly, kind of all smell, taste, and texture. Once one have attachment, then it is a kind of like a problem. And because it is problem because it creates kind of like a suffering. So then when we kind of really, this is to not to just believe what Buddha's teaching say or what I try to kind of express here based on these Buddha's teachings kind of knowledge, but one can examine one's mind. One's own mind one have to examine, and one's mind one have to correct. And the main part of this practice is to just kind of watch every time one's thought, one's mind. That what is kind of like a important. So when you have attachment on anything, then you can see whether it is causing any kind of problem of suffering or not. So if one wants to have excellent kind of loving kindness, then should not have attachment. And similarly, whatsoever generous, whatever the practice of generosity, whatever oneself is doing, then one have to be, one should not have that attachment. So in a way, such kind of this, kind of practice of the generous, being generous of anything. There are so many things that one can be generous. And when it is not involved attachment, then it is become a kind of real, what is called generosity, and that which kind of like accumulates merit, and that which also kind of helps others, and it also kind of helps oneself. And once one have that kind of attachment, for example, like even one offer a piece of flower to the shrine or to the statue, then once one have that attachment, so there can be attachment in so many ways. One attachment is, I want to be good, to be just virtuous, to be meritorious. I want to offer to Buddha. It is also attachment. And then, this my beautiful flower. But anyway, this okay, maybe offer to the Buddha, or offer to the shrine, or wherever one wants to offer. And the feeling, just okay, it's fine, I will let it go. So otherwise there is kind of like attachment. Then with attachment it is kind of like a problem, because later on just kind of thought, I shouldn't offer the flower to there, I can offer here. Or maybe think, I should have given to this my girlfriend or to my boyfriend. So once you reflect, all that the previous virtue is gone. So these are very subtle things, very subtle things. It's kind of like a with the mental activity, all sorts of functioning of virtues and non-virtues, and being meritorious and demerit, all those can happen. And since it is very subtle as mind, our minds is very, very subtle. And of course, that I don't know if anybody have seen their minds shape. I don't think so. Or anybody just see mind's color or sight. Why it is? Because that mind is such a subtle thing that you cannot see with some kind of just shape or form or color or characteristic. But as a mental thought, when you feel kind of loving kindness, you can feel something. And when you kind of being generous, also typically involved, but your mind can feel something. But you cannot see what is that generous is. Just what you have done, what the merit is accumulated, you cannot see. Because it also does not have any, kind of like a substance at all that you can see, or that you can just kind of hear with kind of sound. So that way, whatever we do, every day, moment to moment, thoughts, all those have some sort of kind of consequences. Those are very, very subtle, and we are not really aware about it. We don't really, kind of think, into it, and sometimes even we don't care about it. So these are the things that if we just, in a way, if we want to just kind of follow a path that which is the, kind of like a cause and condition for one's happiness. Because whatever we are trying to do is we are wishing for happiness. And we are looking for peace and prosperity and good health and so forth, all those, the positive experiences in our life, we are looking for that. So it is also important to know that what are its real causes and conditions. And we don't know much about it in a subtle level, because we think, kind of like everything that matters, what you can see, what you can just kind of really hear, or smell, taste, texture, kind of consider, oh, this is real thing, this is have real effect, this has real, kind of impact on anything. But something that which one can't see, also one doesn't know how to take care of it. So that's why, kind of like knowing about that everything is one's mind, and also, kind of like understanding how to take care of, one's mind in the sense of whatever thought arise. If one wish to be happy, one have to work with one's mind, the thought, something that what it is called, virtuous. I think this is virtue, in almost all kind of faith and religion, and in common sense, it is the kind of more or less accepted. But it is not used that much in daily life. Nobody says, oh, do this one, make this offering, it is virtuous. I don't know just how many people could really think about it, or how many could really say about it. But in one way, more close to the Asian countries, and were more involved with this Buddha Dharma, and more involved that what is called law of karma, and those who really believe into those they will talk. Even the parents talk, or just make this offering, do offering this to Buddha, or do 2 prostration, that it is virtuous. it is good, So these things are not just only taught in Buddhism, but it is kind of has its consequences and effects and some result in our relative life. We don't pay so much kind of attention, or maybe not that much aware about it, or not being just kind of like used to know all about that. So, so according to that, this kind of to have an excellent loving kindness and maybe excellent generosity. There can be loving kindness, there can be generous action, but whether that could become excellent or not, it's not based on the word. Just it is on the act of the mind, based on the intention, and then the act physically, even kind of like verbally. Because we do everything, whatever sort of relative activity, kind of the communication and our business and our life and everything is we are doing through these three doors: body, speech, mind. Out of which most important is the mind again. If we don't have this mind, the consciousness, then the physical body cannot do anything. And if we don't have this mind, that kind of like whatever expression that could be loving kindness or not, it depends upon mind. If one's mind has that sense of loving kindness, so people say you should have a kind heart. Heart is just a lump of kind of flesh. Those blood and skin and this and whatever kind of a piece. When the doctors do surgery and heart transplant or the transplanting, then kind of it is just that heart is it's just neutral. It is neutral. All these objects are neutral, not neutral. Maybe I'm saying neutral. Neutral. I'm trying to say my word neutral, but you are what? Neutral. Maybe his heart is neutral. Then those who are not vegetarian will enjoy it. So heart is what? Neutral. Neutral. Just anyway, you try to understand my English, that's all. So there is no that, oh, this heart is kind, this heart is not kind. We cannot find. It's talking about the mind, kind heart, kind mind. Because in the Western world, there is some kind of like a feeling or understanding of difference between something that brings on one's mind, the brain, and then their heart. Because some kind of they can think from their mind, but they don't feel at their heart. Some they kind of like a think from the mind and also feel from their heart. So so that way kind of the heart is again some other time say warm heart. Of course everybody have warm heart, If heart becomes cold, death. So, but still we say you should have warm heart. People saying, you should have warm heart. Why you are so cold? So that all that warm and cold, some say he is a very old person. He is really very old person, maybe just he's already become a dead body, you know. So that all talking about actually mind. Anyway, you know, kind of like in general, of course, you know, science talking so much about brain. Brain also, if there is no mind, that brain is also an inanimate substance, a neutral, again neutral, you know? Cannot function anything. So that's why that mind becomes important, whether one have a kind heart or, you know, loving kindness, or that could become a kind of excellent loving kindness, or that, you know, even just saying about, you know, kind of like a generous, or he's very generous. So that even in generous, there are also external way of being generous, and internal way of being generous, and the secret way of being generous. So those all are not depend upon the physical thing, not depend upon the words. It's just really depend upon the mind, how one's mind is, you know, kind of like being, you know, positively, absolutely generous. We say, you know, or absolutely generous, which means one's mind is, you know, kind of like a care for whatever that one wants to be, you know, kind of generous with, for what purpose, for what, you know, kind of reason. For that, if one's, you know, kind of like a mind is, you know, just very sincere and very, you know, kind of like a dedicated and you know, sure about, you know, what one wants to be, you know, kind of generous, can be, you know, kind of beneficial. So according to that, maybe we use that word, you know, excellent. So in this, you know, activity, the moment you involve that attachment, then it is not, as I said earlier, not excellent. And besides that, when there is, you know, kind of like a attachment, then in a way, maybe you are being generous, just, you know, making all those charity, but there is the involved, you know, attachment. Then it is, you know, kind of like a not pure and not excellent generosity. And similarly, just, you know, kind of like a kind heart or kind loving kindness, you know, kind of like a expression, you know, kind of like a seems like, oh, this person is really, you know, kind and loving. But you know, just if that mind, you know, kind of with the, you know, just to pretend, you know, to show that people may appreciate and people may think, oh, I'm kind and I'm loving, I'm generous, then it is, you know, kind of like a where it is, you know, attachment. That is, you know, kind of attachment. So, can you guess that attachment? Where have that attachment? When one just try to be kind, you know, kind and just to show expression, you know, even physically, like act like kind, and also being, you know, just loving, and also doing some activity of, you know, being generous, and in many ways, that is, you know, kind of doing that, somewhere there is attachment. Maybe there is no attachment. So, in case if it has attachment, where has that attachment? On what? You can think yourself. Sometimes you are also, you know, very loving. You also do very loving. Also, you can be very kind. Also, you can be very generous. And similar like that, you can be very compassionate. Similar like that, you are really caring for others. Similar, like you can be very patient. So when you do that, do you feel that you have attachment or not? I think one have to think, And that way, if you know that, then you know, whether you want to have an excellent loving kindness and generosity, or just a loving kindness and generosity, or just merely, kind of pretend to do something. So that way, what we call virtuous, merit or meritorious, that can become, kind of small virtue, medium virtue, great virtue. And similarly, just little merit, middle merit, great merit. So what does that make something in a kind of little, medium, and great merit? Or whether it could become excellent, excellent, just merit, or medium or less. So that is, there are ways. So in this way, many subtle things, in one's life, what we are just experiencing in our life, many of that which is kind of brought into oneself through one's kind of like a habitual tendency, the habitual patterns, and also maybe same habitual propensity, and those habitual, just patterns coming from, many of the habitual patterns are coming from your childhood, and many of those, kind of habitual tendency coming from your past life. Whether one believes in past life or not, the reality is reality, and truth is truth, that just the whole system, the whole universe of this kind of existing, every single sentient being, even these mosquitoes and so forth. There, as long as there is a what is called consciousness of mind, it is really going through cycle. It is going through cycle. So cycle is birth and death. So when dies, doesn't mean that it is died forever. Of course, there are kind of religions, or there are belief systems, there are kind of people's what they free thinkers. It's up to them. Everybody has that right. Everybody has that choice. Everybody has their own kind of way of what they want to believe and what they want to accept or not. Everybody has that freedom, choice. But the one thing is, the reality of the relative truth and reality of this relative nature of this existence, that doesn't depend upon what one believes and what one doesn't believe. And that one cannot make one's own choice. So that part is very subtle to know much in a very, very different level. For example, like in our birth, we even don't know why oneself born here. And who is making that decision to born here? And why one have to born as a male, and why one have to born as a female, or why one have to born as an animal or insect and so forth. It's so complicated, so complicated. Even the scientists also just thinking over it over time to discover, to find it out what it is behind all about it is complicated. So anyway, like kind of There is none of us that, with one's own, wish and thought and, kind of determine, I want to born here. And I want to born in this way. And also, just kind of like once we are born here, nobody wants to really die in somehow. Unless one has so much of problem and suffering and difficulty that which one cannot kind of like take care of it. And that is why people just kind of sometimes do suicide. So like the death, when time comes, nobody has that choice, nobody has that freedom, nobody depends upon one's own belief. So just the nature of the life, it goes in accordance to that. So that is what Buddha also said that where there is birth, there is death. Where there is high, there is low. Where there is kind of like accumulation, there is exhaustion. So there is something, there is a beginning, there is an end. And that is just nothing about any kind of belief system or religion or culture or anything. It's just the nature of life. And that is everybody's nature of life. So now the more important is, as kind of, every single being wish to be, happy and don't want to suffer. So that part now it is coming here talking about, like a excellent, loving kindness, generosity and attachment. These are the, kind of like a mental activities. Mental activities, and that which, kind of what it is doing is something what is called virtue and accumulating merit, and something which is called the non-virtue, that which is causing problems. And all the virtues are the cause of happiness, and all the non-virtues are cause of suffering. And at the same time, there are certain kind of virtues that influence with the kind of three supreme thoughts, which also can become cause for liberation. Liberation means that kind of liberating from samsara. Means if one have that such kind of like that virtuous activity, that is a kind of like a marriage, and because of that cause and condition, one makes what the next or it does that is one don't have to reborn back into samsara. So there are such things that only can be done by oneself. One can do everything. Good things, bad things, liberation, enlightenment, and wandering into suffering, samsara, and even getting into like a lobster. And then somebody pick up, freshly cooked. Then somebody eat it. So if that is oneself, what you are going to do? So because that also have life, consciousness, feeling, and that is also kind of like one's own karmic action result. So that's why that just at this moment when we are as a human being, and also in the many of our teachings talking about what is called precious human form. So if we really contemplate and to look into it, from where it arrived, from where it comes, and where we may go, what we are doing, all this, if we are more careful about, and that's what need to be careful about is not so many things, not like whatever existing this kind of like whole complete galaxy. It's nothing complicated like that. Just only three things. One, body, speech, mind, three things. And within that, just one most important is again the mind. Because mind has all these thoughts or loving kindness, which is in the kind of like virtue. So now if I come to just kind of make it a little bit clear about that, just the attachment and then loving kindness in the sense of virtues and non-virtues. It is also kind of relate with one's mind. So in our every single being of our thought and wish and whatever we are doing, just kind of like falls into two important things. Two very important things is that ego and egolessness, one thing. And because of that, cherishing oneself and cherishing others. So now when we examine ourselves, how much we are cherishing ourselves than others. Forget about all other animals and then other beings. Even for example, like one's own family, when it comes to certain situation and condition, then oneself becomes more important than the other one, the other partner of like one's family, whether it is one's husband or wife, or even one's children, or one's parents, or one's friends and other relatives. So these were not paying attention at all. That psychologically not psychology in the Western world there are lots of kind of psychology studies and psychotherapy and I don't know what other else. There are many names. So, but they are not paying attention on this situation. That how that can be kind of useful or meaningful or beneficial oneself and beneficial for others. Not looking at it, not educating into that field. So it is because now that one thing is because of this what is called ignorance. There are so many things to educate, not just only this our relative world, kind of school education, kind of like high school and college and then in the universities and PhDs. All external, including psychology, it's become more like external. Nobody is looking into one's mind. That is the kind of like problem. So now they make it clear, attachment is self-cherishing. It's rooted in self-cherishing. I, me. Just become so important for oneself. And that day, kind of all the sentient beings got so used to that, caring about self. Even all this, kind of like a games or even that movies, they just show this, what the rooster. These roosters just let them fight, So that kind of like every rooster when they are fighting, just one feel like I want to fight and I want to gain and I want to smash you. Even the roosters. And then even you may find these squirrels. How they are just staring each other and they're fighting. And the snake. And just all other insects. Just that is one wants to gain and one wants to destroy the other. And then human beings ourselves. When it comes to self-cherish and when it comes to one's ego, when it comes to one's own benefit, then doesn't care for the other. Doesn't care at all. So, I don't know it is good or bad. But if we know just that way is the cause of suffering, because it is the attachment for self. So, and if it is creating suffering and problem, then I think it is not good. So the attachment, for example, being loving, try to love someone, and one just love because if I like this and if I have this, I will be happy. Thinking that way, I will be happy. Or this is what I want, so I can be happy. Or then this makes me happy. So that kind of love is kind of rooted in self-cherishing, the attachment for self. Even though one say, kind of like you say, I truly love you. Words are there. I truly love you. I really care for you. I really just like you. I want to do something good for you. But because expecting, or if I will be nice, then this will be nice to me. When I love this, kind of like fully, then this person or whoever will love me truly. So there is expectation for self-cherishing. So that is their attachment. Still, the attachment is there for kind of self-cherishing. That is why one could not let it go. And when one cannot let it go with that kind of like a expectation and with that kind of like thought, when something leaves you, then again it is a suffering. It becomes suffering. So if one just kind of let it go in a way, if one let it go just from one's mind, for example, whatever oneself being generous with the kind of like foods or drinks or clothing or kind of flowers or houses or money or whatever, if one just kind of truly let it go without any attachment, then they don't have problem. It doesn't create suffering. Even one just be generous, but then kind of like expecting, if I be generous and I offer this and I get this and I do this for this person and that person in this center, and then I can get something. Then there is attachment. Attachment concentrated into self-cherishing. So that way, it is just kind of like experiencing suffering. So now here it is all about mind. So now one's mind just kind of like seeing this way with the self-cherishing and having attachment, and even one just try to be generous or try to be loving or try to be compassionate, try to be caring. Once, as long as there is the attachment, then again it is creating that kind of suffering to oneself. Not today, not next day, not next month, but when it's come to the result of something, then there is kind of suffering. So that is why the attachment is the root cause of all sorts of suffering. Let everyone have attachment. It is causing kind of like a suffering. So attachment is always negative. Attachment is negative because it is one of those negative emotions. So, loving itself is not a negative, but with the attachment it can be become negative. And similarly, kindness. Kindness is in general, kindness is good. It's positive. But that kindness with expectation is not excellent kindness. It's not excellent loving. And not excellent generosity. So that is why, kind of like, one can just love. One can be generous. One can be compassionate. One can be kind. So this compassion and loving, all these are mine. But not to involve that attachment. Kind of attachment. So, like the many people think, without attachment, how one can love? Because they don't know what is attachment and what is love. What is compassion and what is kind of attachment. That is not knowing, And so one can love, one can be kind, one can be patient, one can be very generous, one can be so compassionate without attachment. So means without expecting anything. Whatever one just do, good things for others without expecting anything. And that way, which means when you are not expecting anything, if whatever you did is just you are really letting go. You never hold anything for oneself. And when one's mind becomes very pure in that way, one just care for the happiness of for one's partner, happiness of the family, happiness of the community, happiness of the nation, happiness of the country, happiness of the world. And one who just kind of like just without expecting anything for oneself, when one just kind of like dedicate one's life with all those kind of like a virtuous, meritorious way. And when you let it go, it will come back to you. That is the skillful means that has so much wisdom. Need wisdom. Need wisdom to do the right thing. Also, somewhere, business is not hardworking. Kind of being skillful means one can get success in business. If one doesn't have that skillful means in business, hard working, day and night and weeks and months and years, never get much success. With a skillful method, those who make kind of like a loss of income in year, one can make within a month. That is all what is kind of skillful means in everything. In everything we can apply those kind of skillful means, and that skillful means just depend upon wisdom. So that wisdom is money. One need to have wisdom. So to have to have that wisdom, have to have lots of knowledge. To know everything how this world functions with what. What is kind of its real cause and condition. How just this kind of whatever this cause and condition can make a kind of difference in one's life, in one's kind of family and so forth. that is why in the yeah, for example, like when somebody is very dedicated and kind and they just very patient, always loving. Doesn't matter whatever belief system that person has or whatever religion or whatever culture, tradition, doesn't care, just people just like it. Because that is the quality. That quality makes people happy. And that quality is the source of happiness. And that quality, when we see that, then we also have to train ourselves in that way, taking that as an example. For example, like what's a Nobel Peace Prize winners. All those people that they do for the welfare of others, including like His Holiness Dalai Lama, caring for the welfare of the world people. Just caring that they will not have war. Just try to negotiate, try to understand, and caring for the general welfare of the our world, for the peace of the world, for the happiness of the nation, and for the peace between the religions, for the peace between the belief systems and cultures. These minds, the brain or heart, broad, very broad. Who can see the sufferings of corners of the world, and who can see the happiness of the corners of the world, and who can see what is the cause of that suffering and what is the cause of that happiness, and where that is rooted. It is not that one people cannot do the happiness of everybody. So that is why every single, based on the every human being has the responsibility of that peace and happiness of the world. Everybody has. And that everybody has to know that. Everybody has to educate. Everybody has to inject into that how one can have a excellent loving family without attachment. How one can be very generous with having that generous, the excellent generosity without attachment. So other than that, it is all like business. Business. One have to gain, the other should lose. So, do we really like that? I don't think in reality people really don't like that. People like somebody who is really caring for others. Because in every human beings, their humanity, human quality, it's something very noble. Has that quality of nobleness, has that quality of thinking about the happiness of others. For example, in a family, the father is very noble. Father doesn't care for one's own happiness or one's own clothing or one's own time and one's own hard work. One care for the family and work, and also never say anything that I'm working very hard and you have not listening to me. What is all about it? No, you work and I'm working. That is a bad father. A good father, a noble father who cares for others, who don't have any expectation. The whole family loving. And similarly, if there is a mother like that, who is very kind, caring for the kind of like whole family. And we need like this kind of mind training with that knowledge, with that skillfulness, with that wisdom, that with that kind heart, with that kind of loving kindness and generosity practice without attachment for oneself and caring for others. And if one person do and 10% teach and 20% do and then 100 people do, there is possibility we can progress that this world can be kind of like peaceful. So all this kind of like a negative thought, this hatred, anger, and more of this hatred and anger is very, very disturbing. Very disturbing for individually and as a family, as a partner, as a community, as a society, the hatred and angers. Oh, this kind of like very destructive. And that is very destructive emotion. And why one shows anger is because one's own wish is not fulfilled. Why one shows kind of like hatred because it is not happening according to what one wants. So look at it there. There is attachment for self, self-cherishing, all fully concentrated for self-cherishing, self-happiness, not caring for the kind of others, not caring for the one's nation. And then how we can experience happiness. Now look at our just world. Even in many ways, kind of like a certain part of our world, kind of we are still living in a kind of like peace. But now, because of the modern technology, any tiny parts of the world have any kind of disturbance and the kind of like warfare and so forth. We all get disturbed because we don't like that. Just so much of kind of like killing and fighting and hatred and anger and what is the benefit out of it? We have experienced enough with the kind of like the first and second world warfare and all those fighting. So those all is those kind of mind, those all mind that of being very selfish. And don't caring for the kind of other group. So for all this, we have to kind of like really educate into our mind, and have to see is kind of like consequences, and have to really know. If you are very good in science, you have to just scientifically discover that if you are just mean and hatredful and angry and jealousy and what is kind of like scientifically how it is very destructive emotion. Psychologically, how it is kind of destructive. One have to just kind of know it is not by just saying Buddha's teaching. And just saying, all this karma is Buddha's teaching. Or Buddhists believe that there's law of karma. We don't care. But in reality, just every single sentient being is bearing their own consequences, what they have done through one's own body, speech, and mind. That is the nature. That is the nature, you know. Just that is the nature of law. Nobody can stop, nobody can change. Except by oneself. Except by oneself. If oneself happy just in a kind of being, one can correct oneself, one's mind. Instead of being mean, one has to be more compassionate. And that will be in a kind of just loving. And that without kind of like having that attachment for oneself. So that's what kind of like if there is no attachment and just being loving, then it can be excellent loving kindness. And when there is a kind of without attachment oneself is being generous, then that can be excellent generosity. And when one just do that, one gets much greater merit result consequences to oneself. Somebody who is very kind and loving and generous, that person wherever it goes, one always just welcome. Don't you think so? Once you really train yourself being just whatever, at least when you walk, see people, smile. Not fake one. Smile from heart. Just caring and loving and being joyful, happy. Oh, you look very happy. I'm happy. Doesn't matter whoever there. And that makes oneself happy. And that makes kind of other people happy. So that is why we need to just kind of know what is attachment and what is excellent, kind of loving kindness and what is excellent generosity and how that kind of decides whether it becomes excellent or not, or what is if there is any problem because of the attachment or not. This scientifically, psychologically and mentally, one have to analyze and kind of see, including mathematically, you calculate. Like engineering, they calculate just to build a kind of like a 90-story building. They calculate everything, just kind of length and tall and then sideways and then how many bricks and how many what money. Calculate everything, and then if their calculation is correct and if their kind of like a layout is just done perfectly, then there is a perfect kind of building. If their calculation is not good, then it's problem. So we can calculate our life from now, next day and next month, next year and the future. To calculate, if I do, if I'm always, watching my mind just to get rid of all those negative thoughts, negative vocalization, negative action, and if I have this, kind of all this, positive, loving kindness and caring and compassionate and tolerant. Very difficult. Being tolerant also very difficult, And being patient, how difficult it is. Because we never practice, we never got used to it. Those who practice, those who do that, and those who train their mind, for them, they being tolerant and being patient and being nice, no problem. It becomes like a just kind of their nature. Because their nature. Same like your pet animals, pet dogs. When you train that animal, dogs, to be petable, just harmless. You train, and they become just very, very, kind of very nice dog, friendly with everybody. And there are certain dogs which just make them angry, trained to be just kind of like a fighting. And then that dog, the poor dog, don't know what sort of teachings are given to them, what sort of trainings are given to them. And then they become very furious. And then anytime just anything happens, they want to bite and jump and want to bite. Whether they can just truly defeat them or not, but their intention is met up in that way. So who is doing that, people? Same like that, all humans are trained. Those leaders trained, in certain way. Instead of being positive or virtuous, that if it is trained, negative way, and we think we are doing the right thing, but in reality we are creating our own karma, negative, and cause for the kind of suffering for the future. So this, what one normally talks about, that's something like brainwash. We have to have our own mind where there is some sort of intelligence, some sort of smartness, some sort of wisdom, some sort of cleverness. And what we have to use it in a proper way. That which can be beneficial for oneself and that can be beneficial for one's family and so forth, just beneficial for all. That is all just in the kind of mind. So that is why in Buddhism, like Bodhicitta Avtara saying that 지배를 두고 두배 신들 두고 니니 제법들 마음부시한테 지시고 so saying that all the ordinary sentient beings who have been kind of like always try to achieve one's own benefit, one's own happiness and one's own good things and always cherishing kind of self. From beginningless lifetime, and now also, moment we born, we just until we die, we are trying to do everything for. I want to be happy. I want to have nice health. I want to have nice health. And that way we have been just doing and doesn't care whatever it may happen to somebody else. And that is why it says just we are still in wandering into samsara and have been looking for, searching for happiness and always end up with suffering. This kind of looks true, for me it seems like it's really true. And then they saying the Buddha always kind of like cherishing others and doing good things for others and never mind for oneself, and that way just being very nice and compassionate and kind of always just letting go and not getting enlightenment. Liberate from samsara. No need to get recycled. We will all get recycled in samsara. Buddha got liberated. Just become enlightened and omniscient. And that is why Buddha knows that what we are doing and what Buddha has done, that is why he teach all these teachings. Many of you, I think, hear about this Buddha Four Noble Truth teaching. Starting with that, spelling about cause and the effect of samsara and cause and effect of nirvana, liberation. Because in this world, in this universe, that nothing can happen, nothing can ever produce or arise without any cause and condition. Cannot be happen anything. So if one thing, oh, there may be some possibility, you can just think. You can just examine in this world, external world, like earth and soil and water and trees and kind of like plants and then the animals and insects and then ourselves and so forth, that you can just kind of find it out. If there any single entity, a single entity that which is arising by itself without depending upon any cause and condition. Can you find that? Maybe there is. We don't know again. So look into this world. So anyway, this is our world, created by ourselves. Human beings like myself and you and so forth individuals. In the Zoom world. We create it. Based on our mind. Based on this, kind of like whether we have attachment or not. Of course, it is difficult. The attachment is something deep down into our mind, heavy. But we have to know if this is really beneficial for oneself or not. Is this really just an important condition for our happiness and prosperity, or even for like good health? So even scientists also just have, kind of like I heard that it is so many experiments that with using kind of like anger and hatred. Their lives are always, kind of more short. Because when the people just die, that kind of, and then knowing about that person's personality, that person have a more relaxed, calm, compassionate life, or more happy, anger, so much, and that way when they die, and once they examine that about their death, then all those who have kind of like hatred, anger, all this negative thought, short-tempered, irritated, those all have short life. And not much peace in their mind, in their heart. And most of the people who have longer life, when they examine, they find out their personality, characteristic, always more calm and compassionate and caring. Because the scientists did that experiment. But in Buddhism, it is taught because Buddha himself experienced, just finding out the path. And he also gave his life, being born as a prince, living in a royal family, having all sorts of luxuries and happiness and prosperity and almost everything, whatever he wanted, he had it. But he was not satisfied with that because he sees, in the world these people are suffering. So he is a prince who wants to take care of his subjects. So when he sees others are suffering, he is not happy there. That is what kind of deep in Sanskrit saying bodhisattva. The bodhicitta means one who have great compassion and loving kindness, caring for others without attachment. He don't have attachment for his luxury, for his happiness, for those royal family, for his power. Just he don't have any attachment. He thought, I want to, my subject, the people, be happy, and how that can do, how that can find it out that kind of solution to just get rid of the suffering. And that is why he left and searched it out and received those master and did also practice 6 years of very strong ascetic practice, and then he gained some insight, but still not satisfied. And then finally he went to Kotakai, he did his final meditation practice, and then gained insight what is there inside. The pure quality, the pure noble quality as what is actually known as one's own primordial pure nature. The primordial pure nature, something very, very pure. Pure. So pure means everything is just positive, virtuous, meritorious. No tiny, teeny bit of anything negative. Very pure. And that which is within Buddha himself, and he discovered that, all the sentient beings also have this one. Or they all also can be liberated from the suffering of samsara. They all can become enlightened beings. And that is why he just worked so hard to teach all those. And that with 2,500 years kind of like taught, and how many millions and billions got liberated. And still that kind of teaching today, 21st century, still it is not just only makes sense, it is working. When we just just study and kind of like contemplate and think about it, just work on it, still it is making sense, and still it is working, still it is beneficial. Even this now, the technology, scientific, kind of like that era, which of course through the scientific technology, just kind of like so many things discovered, which makes our lives easier. In so many ways, we can do many good things. But are we satisfied? For our own happiness and peace, and happiness of the world, happiness of the peace of the world, are we satisfied or not? So it is an external condition. It is an external condition for our kind of relative life, something kind of like happier, better, easier. And besides that, what happens with our mind, our brain? Becoming what? Becoming lazy. We are not using much of our own. For example, like kind of driving, we completely depend upon GPS. Oh, don't worry, I have GPS. No, this is not. So you just follow the kind of GPS. And without GPS, oh no, I don't know how I can do. No, I lost my GPS, and maybe I have to just kind of turn to my Google. Google Almighty. Take refuge in Google. Or what is that? Siri. Well, I can find a nice restaurant. So our brain and mind is not using that much. Before all we just done. Look at kind of like 1,000 years before. How much that wisdom they have, how much kind of happiness they have, how much peace is there, like including how much knowledge is there. Looking at all this our world history, like kind of 7 wonders of the world. Look at those. They don't have technology. They did everything so much that which is kind of unbelievable. So it is using their mind, mind or brain. So that's why just kind of like what is the real cause and condition for our own kind of happiness and peace and liberation and all the way to the enlightenment is this mind. This mind we have to train to be always very positive, not just only positive, have to practice and which kind of to have that day excellent, just loving kindness, excellent, compassion, excellent, the patience, excellent tolerance, excellent caring, which can build just a actual cause and condition for real happiness and liberation. If there is no disturbance by the attachment. And whatever we do, kind of like just from our mind, whatever it is kind of like clinging, grasping, attachment, that which is causes in kind of like problem. So on this we have to work, we have to work our own mind. There's nothing more to just blame to anybody else. So that way, work with one's mind, that to have one's life, better, happier, prosper, and so forth, all the way to the kind of liberation. That we need to let it go, that attachment, and according to that, try to kind of reduce that self-attachment, self-cherishing, and try to care for the kind of starting with most of you have family. Try to care, be just try to kind of care for your family, then one's own happiness. Try to care for their feeling, then one's own feeling. Care for their kind of like a prosperity, then what one wish, what one want. And when you really let it go, that attachment and kind of caring for that, after some time, just one feel very, very happy and joyful. And even at the last minute of one's life, one feel like satisfied, satisfied. Oh, I have done my best. I did everything for them. I have no any regret. I can die happily. And they all love you. They all love you, they all care you, and they all just be, kind of feel grateful to you. And that way, just how we kind of train our mind. If somebody is mean to you, you have to be still nice. Our world is always says that. When somebody is mean or somebody causing problem and somebody is not nice, you always try to be nice and compassionate and never mind about it and just always be fortunate. One day you'll get all the positive result what you have been doing something positive. And then you just kind of enjoy. If the other is mean to you, and if you do that meanness to the other, then you do the same like that. Then like this, that dog bite here and this dog bite. What is the kind of good thing here? So that way we have to just learn about that of our own kind of like inner quality, or in other words that is something very, very profound, that's a Buddha nature. Buddha nature, which means the one has the potential or the seed to be enlightened. Even you are not just kind of like that much of like Buddha nature, you can use that divine nature. Every single sentient being have their divine nature, something very, very positive. What is called, in other words, can be said in a kind of godliness. Or you can say Christ's nature. Or there's kind of the pure human quality that every single sentient being has. For example, like when you are just kind of have enough food and everything, your jobs are done, when you are relaxed, then you look into your mind is very kind of pure and clean and clear and happy and peaceful. The mind is peaceful. And when anything just happen and disturb you, when that kind of whatever source of emotion arise, then you look into your mind, you are disturbed. So that is the condition that disturb is not your own kind of true nature of mind. It is like the just when there is too much wind, then there is too much of kind of these waves. When no wind, then even ocean is very calm and clean and nice. It's very peaceful. So that's what it is talking to how to keep one's mind always pure and calm with all those qualities and not having that attachment. And then one can have excellent loving kindness and then the excellent generosity and excellent life, excellent happiness, excellent death. One die happily. And after the death, one can have excellent liberation. After excellent liberation, you can have excellent enlightenment. What else you need? It's excellent enlightenment, excellent Buddhahood, or Christhood, or Godhood, whatever will be name may be given. It is something very nice. So I stop here. And if you have questions.